Bruh, I still don't really know how to start these videos. Great, my dad came over and gave me some apple pie. Thank you. In the early meta of Shadowverse, evolving was purely a board state kind of mechanic. Currently, evolve has changed. And so therefore, I would like to make a video on the history of, specifically with Worlds Beyond, and how they did evolve. But first, I need to give a history and a bit of a basics on what Shadowverse is, in case people don't know. So, I broke it up into 4 different chapters, where in the first 2 chapters, if you have no idea what Shadowverse is, I'm basically going to teach you the basics. We'll run by it pretty quick. I won't get into any too specifics. And then chapters 3 and 4, this is where, if you already know about Shadowverse, you can just skip ahead. You don't need to see the first 2 chapters. But I guess if you want a refresher, you can see all of them. I'll have these chapters as timestamps in the description, so you can scroll through if you want. So let's first start off with the basics. So, just like in Hearthstone, we have play points. This is also like your mana, or like your dawns in One Piece, your resources in Gundam, stuff like that. Your energy in Pokemon. So you start off with 1 max play point. Every turn you get another one. Easy. Another thing that we stole from Hearthstone is the coin, where if you're going second, you get an extra play point that's temporary. Just so going second, they have an additional advantage to make up for players who go first. These are your followers, or I guess in Hearthstone they're your minions. In Magic they're your creatures, or Yu-Gi-Oh! Your monsters. They all have a cost on the top left, attack and defense, or I guess your power and toughness, whichever game you play. I'm only going to talk about followers. There are spells and amulets, but they're not important. So we're just going with the basics. So let's continue. This is what makes Shadowverse unique. We have something called evolution. So you can evolve your followers. And evolving, what that does is it gives them a +2/+2 buff. They can attack the turn that they've been summoned. Because just like in Hearthstone Magic, we have something called summoning sickness, where the first time you summon this monster, it can't attack the turn that it's been summoned, unless they have an ability that says otherwise. And of course, if the creature or follower has an evolve ability, it will activate upon being evolved. Now, when you can evolve differs depending on if you're going first or second. So if you're going first, you can evolve on turn 5. If going second, you can evolve on turn 4. Now this is what's unique to Worlds Beyond, not just to Shadowverse. In case you didn't know, we have Shadowverse Classic and then Shadowverse Worlds Beyond, which is essentially the sequel. So in Shadowverse Worlds Beyond, we have something called Super Evolution, which is basically a better evolution. So instead of a +2/+2, instead you get a +3/+3. Once again, it can attack the turn it's been summoned. If it has an evolve ability, that will activate. But if it has a super evolve ability, that will activate. And then 2 very unique things. So while it's on your turn, or while it is your turn, your super evolved follower can't be destroyed or take damage. And if it destroys an enemy followed by battle, you also deal damage to face. Now I know this is a lot of information, but to be honest, it's pretty simple. At least in-game. But that's not really that important. And once again, Super Evolve, there's only certain turns when you can do it. So when going first, it starts on turn 7. Going second, starts on turn 6. And of course, to keep it fair, you can only have 2 Evolve points and 2 Super Evolve points. So you can't just Evolve or Super Evolve every turn. Sometimes you'd want to save it and use it on specific followers, stuff like that. So, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video. This was announced, I don't exactly remember when, but there was a Shadowverse live stream that was talking about set 7 and how rotation is being added to the format. Now, what exactly is rotation? So currently in the game, we only have 6 sets, with Legends Rise, Infinity Evolve, the Heirs of the Omen, Skybound Dragons, Blossoming Fate, and Apocalypse Pact. So all 6 of these, all the cards that you can get from these 6 sets are playable. When they introduced rotation, It means once set 7 comes out, the earliest set will go away. So Legends Rise will not be playable anymore. At least not in rotation. That's why they also added Unlimited. So in Unlimited, all cards are available, but in rotation, the oldest set will get kicked out. So knowing that information, I thought maybe I could look back on those cards and the early meta of the game and found some interesting trends, I would say, that may or may not influence the future of Set 7 and Worlds Beyond. So, let's talk about the biggest one. This is Zirconia. She came in Set 1 Guns Blazing. She's a 4-cost 4/4, and when she evolves, she summons 2 1/1 knights and gives all other allies +1/+1. Remember, Zirconia gets +2/+2 when she evolves, so altogether it's a 6/6 and 2 2/2s. This was now the baseline for all evolves, and Shadowverse knew this, as when they created other 4-cost cards, they had to be either equal to Zirconia or a lesser version of her. For example, in Set 2, Infinity Evolved, they add Cynthia, a 4-cost 4/3, and summons 2 fairies and gives them +1/+0. And even in the most recent set, Set 6, Apocalypse Pact, with Spellbound Professor, a 4-cost 3/4, and summons 2 crystals and gives them +1/+0. These cards came out after Zirconia, and they still can't match her. It got to the point where other crafts needed to keep up with Zirconia, and the Shadowverse devs knew it. Within Set 1, and especially in Set 2, they deliberately made cards that could counter Zirconia on the next turn. That's why all these counters cost 5 play points. Glade, Oningrea, Aragavi, and Celefa were Forest Crafts, Rune Crafts, Abyss Crafts, and Haven Crafts answers to Zirconia. At the time, Dragon and Portal didn't have an answer. They only got theirs when Set 2 came out, with Seasoned Merman and Zwei. Zirconia was so impactful in the early meta that if you didn't draw one of the outs, you basically lost, and God forbid your opponent plays a second Zirconia. With Zirconia being established as the baseline, future sets and power creep had to revolve around her. Even Super Evolves were influenced by Zirconia. These are Set 1 cards with Super Evolve effects that set up the board just like Zirconia. Arya summoning 3 fairies? By the way, this was before she got buffed. Now she summons on a regular evolve. Kuon summoning Shikigamis, and Super Evolving allows one to hit face. Neptune summoning 4 Orcas, and Ether summoning 3 followers from the deck and then buffing them all. They are all just Zirconias, but with different effects. Everything is just a Zirconia. So you can definitely see there was a trend of what it was like in the meta of Set 1 and 2, where we have board makers and board breakers. And of course there are some that fit in the middle. Zirconia herself only really summons knights. They don't really deal with the board. Where compared to Cynthia, Oningrea, Seasoned Merman, and Zwei, they can make a board as well as break Zirconia boards. And then with Glade, Celefa, or Aragavi, they don't summon anything, but they specifically deal damage to clean the board. So this was the trend, at least as of Set 1 and 2. And then from then on, Evolve kind of took a turn, where it no longer was about setting up a board and caring about board states. But instead, it was more like to set up win cons. So if you've been playing Shadowverse now, definitely Motherly Forest Dweller and as well as Lashena have been kind of the big key ones. Marwyn also being somewhat similar, but that was more of Set 3, Set 4. But when they evolve, they don't exactly make a big board like Zirconia. Instead, they're made to set up for you to win later on. Like evolving Motherly Forest Dweller will help you build more evolves for your faith. Evolving Marwyn gives you the crest that you can deal damage, and evolving Lashena will give you eggs. So it really no longer benefited setting up board states. So now we get to what set 7 might be like. But first, I also want a difference between what I want from set 7 and then also exactly what we predict that's more likely that set 7 is actually going to have. So let's start off with what I personally want. I would like to actually go back to making board states again, rather than fulfilling quests that we always had to do back in Shadowverse Classic. Right, there was always the rally quest, the loot quest. It's not as fun anymore. And also, it was a huge thing with, at least with Worlds Beyond, and what made it separate from Shadowverse Classic. Like, they were two very different games, despite having very similar mechanics. And I kind of liked that Worlds Beyond had its own identity, but knowing that Shadowverse Classic is ending soon, I believe it's ending at the 1st of July, it makes it seem like they're trying to make Worlds Beyond back into Shadowverse Classic, which may make Shadowverse Classic players really happy, as nothing has really changed, and so they're glad to have a Shadowverse be back. But I'm a bit sad that Worlds Beyond essentially lost their identity to revert back to their previous game. Like, what was the point of making a new one? Another big thing is that I would want is to essentially revive old mechanics, such as artifacts. Artifacts were really only a mechanic during set 1. And from there, it kind of went downhill, and we never saw it ever again. So I kind of wish they were not just to make more cards that do that make artifacts and gears, but probably update those artifacts, make new ones, but still have the trait of artifact. But then those are only things that I want. Now these are what I actually predict. I think that we're not going to get board state evolves anymore. Or at least not as impactful as Zirconia. I think we're going to do more of like those quests, like with Marwyn, Lashena, Motherly Forest Dweller. I think we're just going to have more of those. I did mention they're basically turning back into Shadowverse Classic. And I think they want more evolves that instantly impact the game rather than slowly setting up, I guess. Because with these cards, like Motherly Forest Dweller, Marwyn, and Lashena, they help you set up, but not exactly have an impact immediately. I feel like the new evolves are going to do both. Not only are they going to set up win cons, but they're also going to impact the board immediately. So games are going to be a lot faster. At least those are my predictions, because that seems to be the case as of the current state of Shadowverse. But I guess time will tell. We'll have to see. So I definitely want to say a bit of a farewell to Legends Rise. So there, I did put all the key cards here, or at least most of them, that will go away. Obviously the big ones, right, for Forestcraft would be Roach. Right, having Roach gone, an entire archetype is dead. Right, combo Roach is no longer going to be a thing. Swordcraft, of course, we already talked about Zirconia. But Albert being the biggest one, as Albert was the biggest damage dealer, the finisher. So knowing that's going away, we're probably going to get a new Albert, although I don't exactly know what it's going to be. I hope it's not as strong as Albert, and I really wish it's not stronger. On Grand D climb, a big hit to spell boost. Dragoncraft, I'm surprised Liu Feng is getting rotated out, which is one of the ramp cards. So with a ramp card being rotated out, they have to add back another ramp. Will it be just as good as Liu Feng? We don't know. I hope not. Abyss is a bit strange, because not only is Rage of Serpents being rotated out, so like their face dealing spell card, but I guess I also put it down here in the honorable mentions. Reaper's Death Slash as well, which is a very key card that's one play point. Destroy one of your followers, but also destroy one of your opponent's followers, which is a pretty big hit, as Abyss doesn't have that many cards that can destroy enemy followers. So that is very interesting what Abyss is going to happen. What's going to happen to Abyss? Haven, Selefa Jean. Selefa being an anti-board state card, being rotated out. But another big one as well in honorable mentions, Serene Sanctuary. The one play point amulet that allows you to draw 2 more cards. So this is a big hit to Haven's consistency to the cards that they draw, which is a bit scary. And then Portal, I would say, has the biggest hit. So not only is Orcus being rotated, meaning the archetype of puppets is essentially dead, but specifically artifacts. Here's the big thing. It is very surprising, but in Legends Rise, a lot of the key artifact cards were in set 1, and all of those are going to be rotated out. I have them all here. These are the main artifact cards in set 1 that are being rotated out. Right, the 4 biggest ones, right? Artifact Recharge, the one spell to give you 2 gears. Miriam, on Evolve, can give you 4 gears. Alouette, allowing you to copy an artifact in your hand. And Realmia also summoning a bunch of those artifacts from your hand. Artifact is essentially dead. So goodbye. And I represented it here with the Gundam. Artifacts are forever gone once this rotates out. So that is one of the biggest reasons why I did say I would want them to update artifacts. Bring them back. What's the point of making artifacts if it's only going to last of one set of a meta to then forever be gone? Which is very, very sad. So yes, please leave it down in the comments of what card you'll miss the most. And also what card or what you predict that set 7 will have. Honestly, for me, I am going to miss Gundam. Artifacts was really fun in set 1. And it was very unique because Worlds Beyond Artifacts worked very differently of how Artifacts worked in Shadowverse Classic. And I hope there's going to be a Gundam 2.0. I want another Gundam that's been updated and that can actually do well in the current meta. I don't know how that's going to work, but I really hope Shadowverse does something with it. I really hope Artifacts doesn't just disappear. And yes, that is the end of the video. Oh? What's this? Funky segment? Alright, this is a bit of a surprise. Yay! Bonus content! In case if you stuck around this long, please. Give a hand to Funky. Yay!
Yo, I don't know anything about Shadowverse. I just want them to make a green core, yellow core.
Oh,
That'd be cool. Then we get Rainbow Robot. The Pride Robot would be sick.
Oh god.
Yeah, I have no clue how Shadowverse is gonna go from this point, but if you look forward to seeing more of Dangle, be sure to join the streams. That's where I also hang out. Yeah.
Okay, alright. Thank you, Funky. That's the Funky segment. Surprise Funky segment. Anyways, alright. That's about it. Hopefully everything was concise, easy to follow. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing. But anyways, if you liked Shadowverse or this type of video, yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below. I would like to make more Shadowverse content, just because I went through a bit of a rabbit hole figuring out Zirconia wannabes and specific counters to Zirconia. I thought that was really interesting. And maybe when set 7 comes out, maybe I can make a video on how Evolve now is gonna change and who, I guess, would be the next Evolve meta staple card. Hopefully it's not Swordcraft. Please bring it to someone else. I would say maybe give it to Dragoncraft, because Dragoncraft really needs a time to shine. Alright. Thank you. Bye.